It sucks that the only way that we found out about this was through social media, for Twitter on the PlayStation Twitter account.
Yeah, it was during their little event where they're announcing the PlayStation 5 stuff. Yeah, it came out of nowhere, so everybody was rushing. Everybody stopped what they were doing to get one.
And it's like, bro, you could have just mentioned this on your showcase, your big showcase that you showed to everybody. I mean, you could have, like, you already announced the date and announced the pricing. You could at least let everybody know, like Microsoft, like, hey, come to this certain date and get your pre-orders. Because I'm a Sony fan. I love PlayStation, but Microsoft handled it way much better than Sony.
And they still had problems too.
And they still have problems. But at least it wasn't as crazy or as desperate to get a console. Like Microsoft at least let everybody know, it's like, yeah, we're gonna stick with our plan. This is the day you have to come to get your pre-order.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna go a little bit more on the social media aspect. Tell me, what are your thoughts about that, about social media, the uses of social media? Because I know you, and you're not into social media and you hate it. You just have it just like whatever. But I want to hear from your perspective and your view. How do you see this? How do you perceive it? And how careful should one be while using this?
It's interesting. I am definitely not an expert in this area, right? So take what I say with a grain of salt. This is just my personal opinion.
Right.
In general, and maybe it's because just I grew up in a different time, right?
Yeah.
Somebody that grew up with social media is definitely going to see it differently than I did.
Absolutely.
I think, I'm a big believer in tech. I love technology. I love computers. I love the internet. It's been incredible. All those have been a positive on humanity, a net positive, right? Overall. Now, social media, it's my opinion, that has been a net negative on humanity. So you can see I'm biased in this already. I think it's a dangerous weapon and can be very, very detrimental to somebody's mental health, somebody's life. And just overall, like, humanity has not benefited from it as much as we like to believe we have. Obviously, there are some winners here, right? You have influencers that are tremendously winning.
Right.
So I know they're going to be biased and not think the same way I do. We have companies that are probably full of themselves that think they're changing the world when they're probably making it worse. But yet they're making millions and billions. So they have no incentive to stop. So that's where I stand.
Yeah.
I have some social media. I try to keep it limited. The time is super limited. I'm rarely there. I like to follow people that I'm interested in directly. It's not like us. I don't try to follow everything and anything. It's only from what I see. If I see smart or interesting topics, that's where I'll tend to follow.
Now, I'm with you on that because you and me, we both grew up in that same area and in those same years. I mean, we're 4 years apart, but we still grew up in that, like, we don't believe much in social media. We just happened to, like, grab it while we were still in its stage. I think I grabbed it when social media started to blossom, like it started to pick. So I know that.
When do you think that is?
By 2007.
Yeah,
I was in junior year in high school at that time. So that's when Facebook started. And then obviously when Facebook started, it was an old domino effect.
I wouldn't. Facebook started in 2004. So
really?
Yeah, 2003, 2004. It started way before that. What the turning point was, at least that's what I like to believe, or that's from what I see. The turning point for social media was the iPhone. All of a sudden, you have social media 24/7 wherever you go. Before, it was limited to your home computer. Now you have it in your pocket everywhere. So once the iPhone took off and once these smartphones took off, that's it. Social media won. Social media blew up.
Interesting.
And that was around 2007.
Interesting. Now, here's the thing about that. I didn't get a smartphone until late sophomore year, early year of college. That's when I got my first iPhone. And I basically inherited from my dad. Like, he's like, hey, I just got myself an iPhone 4. Do you want this free GS? Has 32 gigabytes. I don't know if that's helpful for you. It's like, shit, I'll take it. What?
Free phone, man.
Yeah, free phone. What the hell? Yeah. Yeah. And all this time, I always had, I guess I did have a smartphone, but it wasn't like what smartphone is today's world. I usually had a Berry.
The BlackBerry?
Yeah, always had the Black. I always loved the BlackBerry. I never had any issues with the BlackBerry. I loved it. I had an Android. I remember I did had an Android, but it didn't have enough internet. I remember it was a Samsung something. I remember, and I liked it. I liked it, but it wasn't as we call a smartphone in today's world, in which you have all the apps. Like, I didn't have enough internet, so I couldn't go log into Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or any of that. It was like later when I got the iPhone, that's when I got all these social medias, and I was able to see all my social medias through the phone. I didn't have to go wait until home to get a computer and look what's going on Facebook and Twitter. As that. See, I started it, but it wasn't until mid college that I got the smartphones and all the apps inside.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said, Facebook's been around for a while. It had its own. It started off as school only, right?
Yeah.
You needed a email from a school to get in, or college.
As far as my understanding, yeah, that's how it all started. Like, you had to be on school for somewhere or something to actually get this.
And then, lucky for them, the iPhone came out, and they were able to open it up to everybody, and they just blew up. And it seems like all these companies, you'd like to think they start off with good intentions, but their main motive is money.
Yeah, it's running nuts. Yeah, running. Like, every second that you spent on something, that's already money going through them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That's why I wanted to talk to you about the Social Dilemma movie, because everything that I learned, like I said to you, I know it was something that I know you were going to enjoy watching it, because it's definitely a great movie. And I said in the previous episode, if you guys are listening to this, watch the Social Dilemma. In a sense, make your eyes woke, like open your third eye or something. But it's a great documentary movie. I had to watch it twice for me to grab the information all over, because it was like there were certain things. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of information for me to take in. Even though there were some things that I was already on the other side, like I agree, yeah, this is what's happening. But there was some other information I was trying to grasp. It's like, what the fuck? It's like, oh my God, this is go beyond for my understanding. This is go beyond for what I was, how it really was. But hearing it from tech guys that started all these social medias, it's just like, wow. Now these are the guys that are telling us, be careful, stop.
That should be an eye opener in that part, because I guess a step back, like, this documentary is interesting. I had it on my radar for a while, especially in circle of colleagues and friends who are like, yep, this is something we all knew. Mm-hmm. We knew this was going on. And that's why I try to limit myself practically to nothing, limit the family, or just help out whoever I can. Just be careful, because I know how the sausage was made, right?
Yeah.
And look at these people who actually made it, and they're like, be careful. But yeah, this documentary is fascinating. It's very biased, just like I am on this topic. It's very biased. It's very one-sided, but a lot of it is true. So it's like, how do you balance something out where it's how do you stay objective on something that's so specific and direct? It's like, shooting somebody is bad, right? Like, how do you defend that? Unless there are some areas of, self-defense. It's like, in general, it is bad. It's a very thin line. So it's like, it's a fascinating topic. We know how it's made. I try to watch it. I made the family watch it so they understand, like, look, this is what's happening. Be careful.
I'm glad, that you had your whole family watching it, because as I was telling you, my girlfriend, we were talking, it's like, this is like the type of stuff that we have to care for when we get kids of our own, like, look how influenced the kids in the documentary, because obviously, for those who hasn't watched it, spoilers alert. Yeah, it talks about all the stuff that's happening in the social media, but it also gives you like a little reenactment scenes to where this is going and how it's influencing everybody's out, which was brilliant. I like how they took that to make you visually look what they're talking about. That was actually pretty good. And bro, like the whole putting all the phones in under one cup, and then the daughter all of a sudden just smashes.
Yeah, that wouldn't fly with me.
Oh. We
grew up in a different era.
Yeah, again, we grew up in a different era. I guess it would be different. But in that case, I would just like, you know what? I'm not gonna spank you because that's what I deserve if I was in her position and my mom will smack me in the ass. But in today's world, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna disconnect every source of technology. In fact, you're not gonna even live in on an AC. In fact, get yourself a fan. Like
It'd be in the Stone Age.
Stone Age. Like, oh, you don't like it? Oh, why did you smash the phone? What was the whole need?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like I said, some colleagues, and we were following this, where we were pretty much talking about it afterwards, and even before this came out. Like, I work with a lot of smart people, and some of them younger than me, a lot younger than me. So they grew up with social media.
oh,
So they know what's going on, yet they still use it. They're okay with it. So it's like it's a different world. It's like where you were raised and grow up in a different environment. So you see it as a younger version will see it very, very nice or good or fun, even though they know exactly what's going on because they're in the same field as me.
I guess, yeah, that also falls into the age in which you grew up to. I guess, like,
They grew up used to it, essentially.
Yeah. I had the problems with social media. It got to a point that it was becoming very toxic to myself. And I was having some sort of small cases of depression. And because I think it was that instant gratification that you were trying to look for. And
the dopamine hit.
The dopamine in your head, exactly. And when you don't get it, then you still feel like mellow, gloomy, and just like
empty.
Like, what's the whole point of this? And it's a good thing that I snap out of it and realize all this stuff that was harming me mentally.
And it's very hard to realize that, and it's very hard to snap out of it.
Yeah,
it's extremely hard.
Unless somebody put it out to me, because I kid you not, nobody has ever pointed it out to me. I had to do this on my own. Found out about myself, like, holy shit, like, social media is super toxic. Like, I need to stop. And at that point, I decided, like, you know what? I'm gonna use social media to promote my business, my music. That's it. I'm gonna stop, like, recording myself doing this, recording where I am, recording who I'm with. Like, I'm stopping that altogether. And I did. I only use it just to put my music out. It's like, hey, new music out. Check it out on the link. That's it.
Interesting.
That's it. Because I it was just so toxic to me. I call it the devil's work, you know?
You're feeding the machine by using it. Yeah. It's just and
it's one of those things that they were saying in the movie. It's like, you created, a tool. This is a tool. A tool is for you to use it. It's there and whatnot, but you're not supposed to let the tool use you.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're feeding into that tool. And now that tool started to create this sort of AI in which it started to learn. And before you know it, again, conspiracy theory talking me. Make fun of me if you guys want to, but this could potentially lead to a Skynet situation.
Well, at least I think the movie made fun of it, or at least hinted at it. It's like it's not coming; it's already here. It's just it's covered in a social media facade. AI, as portrayed in the movies, is scary. I think so. I know some tech people don't. It can be scary, but even we're still so far away. I think from that type of AI. We're maybe closer to the baby version of that AI. But at least right now, we do have smart algorithms and software that can pretty predictably can be pretty accurate in its predictions, and that's controlling everything right now.
I mean,
it's a baby Skynet.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like it's predicting your future, in a sense.
It has. There have been stories where you have, like, say, I'm pretty sure I'm not 100% accurate in my retelling, but I've read a woman who didn't feel well, was Googling her symptoms, trying to figure out what was wrong. And the next day on Facebook, she was having ads for baby clothes, diapers, formula. And then she's like, what the heck? Why am I seeing this? And Facebook knew she was pregnant before she did.
Good God almighty.
You see that? And then sometimes the algorithm and the system is right, but it messed up somebody's life where somehow I forgot the details how, but Facebook outed somebody for being gay and they were in the closet. They didn't want anybody to know. And that really took a hit to them. Yeah, man. So, like, these systems are very, very delicate.
See, that's why I believe that Skynet, it's coming, because AIs never stop learning. As a human, we can only learn a certain amount and a certain time. AIs will continue to learn even after we're gone, and they'll
I mean,
start learning.
they always like AI is still hardware based, right? You still need some type of storage. So as soon as they start run out of storage, they'll stop learning.
Okay, yeah, I get, yeah, because at least our own storage is our own brain. Our
Yeah.
brain can only hold as much, and we can probably continue on learning. There's no such thing as a human that never stopped learning. Like, you can
Yeah.
continue
You can
learning.
always learn.
But AI is probably, that's their limitation, is like the hardware storage. It's like, oh,
Yeah, they'll have to sacrifice something else to learn something. But even then, that's still very Hollywoody. I'm very, how do you say it? I'm like,
but
I'm not so optimistic in AI, but I don't know anything about it. I know nothing.
Yeah, I only know little just through movies like these, documentaries, and concepts here and there. I don't know much for me to talk about it. All I know is what I know. But I do know that it's like you said, that AIs are continue to learn and they're predicting your future. And I know there was a movie in which, the AI knows that this could potentially, I think it was a Netflix movie, something like that. Mother or something. Like, it was a robot raising a child, a baby girl, and raising it to adult and telling and learning and all that side. All of a sudden, this child, she thought she was the only species, the only human ever. All of a sudden, like, human came out of nowhere. It's like, I need help, I need help, I need help. I haven't seen the movie, but I know this is the trailers for what I'm seeing. And it basically was telling the girl, was telling the humans, like, who are you? Like, what are you here? It's like, I'm a human. Like, what are you? You're a human too. Like, what the hell? So what are you doing here? What? It's like, oh, me and my mother, she raised me. I thought I was the only last human. It's like, the last human? What are you talking about? It's like, yeah, like,
sounds interesting. Yeah, I mean, because of Hollywood, it's for artificial intelligence has taken a meaning of its own. I wouldn't even call it that. It's probably it's relatively accurate to say machine learning nowadays. That's the hype word. Even that is just a series of, if it's this, do that. If it's this, do that. If it's this, do this.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know coding, that's one of the main basic stuff that you learn through coding. Like, you basically
control flow.
Yeah, control flow. You basically let the program tell, okay, do this. If it doesn't do this, then you got 3 other options, and whichever of these options happens, you go with that and execute the program.
Yeah, that's very, very extremely high level. When I say machine learning, again, I don't know anything about it. I don't like AI. It's just Hollywood messed it up and confused everything. Not just Hollywood, a lot of tech companies that try to sound all smart and intelligent. They abuse the word in their marketing, so it means everything.
Maybe.
So it's like, to me, it's like a bunch of if statements here and there.
See, at that point, I don't know much about it, and you will know, and you can actually tell me, because this is like the type of stuff I would like to be informed and know, like, okay, what's really going on, Like, I thought it was only all going Skynet type shit. That, like, if we don't put a stop, like, they can end humanity itself, No,
I'm not so worried. I obviously, there's some AI dangers for sure, absolutely. I'm not so optimistic about AI, but I'm worried some country, any country can develop a sophisticated system that will almost seem like an AI, but it's not really. That's not a singularity. That's more realistic to me than an AI taking over the world.
Well, the way I look at it, I don't think I will. I'm saying it just to throw conspiracy theory, but in realistically terms, the way I see it is like, now that these algorithms are here, that they basically predict your future. I'm afraid that AI and then its concept, can predict your future and humans' future, and that's where all these movies come. So I think it's because of that prediction. It's like, okay, if we don't put a stop to this, then humanity will die, and Earth will die. We need
to have predictions like that. Even without AI, we have predictions and models on the weather, climate change, pollution.
But that's the thing. As humans, we're stubborn to stop it.
Exactly, we are.
But then you got an AI robot who doesn't know any feelings or not, and they're not stubborn enough. They just go and execute the program. It's like, I need to stop this. This is for your own good.
Yeah, it's like the whole iRobot type of thing. I mean,
yeah,
I think that's very far off.
I mean, Dubai already give citizenship to the first robot.
Yeah, robot,
quote unquote. But still, it's not that far from it. I mean, it's already like,
I'd say far, like from machine knowing better and taking over the system. That's
Okay.
very far. I think that's very far off.
But
We have little to no incentive for that. We have more incentive for automation. Absolutely. Automation, automate everything, but it's not going to be an intelligent being that takes over. There'll be a lot of automated robots in that sense where you can automate like they do now, assembly lines or toll lanes. Like you don't need people's jobs, unfortunately, will take a hit. But a self-intelligent being that can do whatever it wants, no, that's very off.
That's interesting.
Again, my limited knowledge. I'm not an expert. I am not an expert. I'm not predicting anything. You still got to be on the lookout.
No, of course. But again, this is stuff that we should know that goes beyond for our understanding. We should be aware of this type of stuff, you know. And I believe the tech industry should be much more open forward and
absolutely
and be more aware to let people know. It's like, hey, I mean, it's cool to have Facebook, but just to let you know, this could happen.
Yeah, for sure. And they don't have an incentive to do that, unfortunately.
No,
they might pretend to be like with their fancy marketing and stuff like that. But like in the documentary, they had I forgot what it's called, the Center for Humane Technology.
Yeah.
Something like that. I forgot. I'm sorry.
I forgot what it was too, but I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
You need organizations like that to tell people, to tell civilization, to tell society, hey, look, this is dangerous. We got to be careful. We can really hurt ourselves with this if we're not careful. We need centers like that to show it, to show the dangers. But even to that point where you wish the tech company would be more open, some are better than others for sure. And this reminded me of a concept that the tech industry tries to push, that everybody should learn coding. Everybody should learn coding.
I heard that. That was on Twitter, right? That learn to code.
Everywhere. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. And obviously, if you want to learn coding, man, go for it. You're going to have so much fun. At least if it's for you. Now, I think technology, maybe coding, but definitely technology is going to become, or it should already have been done. It should become a core subject in school. You know how we teach social studies, we teach civic, we teach math, we teach science.
That should be one
technology has to be there. It has to be. Even if you don't want it in your field in the future, even if you don't want to be a coder, you don't want to be a computer engineer, you don't want to, you need a basic understanding of technology to survive in society going forward. If not, you're just going to be abused and you won't even know it. That's what's happening. A lot of these people are being abused and they don't even know it. If they had a fundamental understanding of the basics, they can better observe things. Like, it's just because, excuse me, they teach you math and science in school, and how many people become mathematicians and scientists in the future?
Very little.
But because you have a basic understanding of how the world works, we can all be on the same page on a lot of things. Technology took over the world. Software took over the world. We need a basic understanding to see how our society can survive.
I guess like the classes, I remember back then, the computer classes, all the time I went to the computer lessons, like I barely learned shit. I barely learned how to shit. I like, all it was is like getting access to the internet or typing without looking, all that stuff. I was like, dude, I already know this. Even at my home, even though we only have one computer in my house, I already knew this. Why am I continuing to learn this? Like, I'm not learning something new that I should be learning. And sometimes some of these professors don't even encourage students to learn that type of stuff that they should learn. Like,
that's even something else with school. School doesn't teach you how to learn. That's what it should do. It teaches you how to memorize.
I 100% agree.
That's a whole other subject, but But yeah, I think technology has to be a core subject going to the future, because like right now, the big debate is having software and computers manage our elections. Yeah. Who knows what are in those computers? We have to audit those systems, and now it's super easy to steal an election.
I mean, look what happened.
Look what happened. Like, it's very unfortunate. Like, politics aside, you believe in democracy. You want an open and fair election.
Absolutely. Regardless of whoever wins, like, you always want to have a fair election, and you always want to have a fair knowledge of like, okay, then if I'm using this, I can trust this. Like, that's the part that you're supposed to trust this, but then it backfires you.
Exactly. Democracy is built on trust. Without trust, there's no democracy.
Exactly. That's unfortunately on today's world what we're facing right now. And another thing I always want to, I don't know your case with your children, but I know with my girlfriend, we have discussed, like, for my future children, I want them to learn software. I want them to learn at least something in coding. If even the school doesn't teach them, at least I'll take a class with them and learn together, just to encourage the kids. But like, I feel that's what's gonna be in the future. It's what they're gonna be in the future is they're gonna require more people that to do more software stuff, software developing, software engineering, software corporate. I feel that that's gonna be the future for us. Like they're gonna hire more people that are into coding, more people into software than they will do on somebody that
Mhm.
that'll be like hiring people that does for doctors and whatnot. They will rather have somebody that can actually execute a program in which they can perform two arms to perform a successful 100% or 99% accuracy of perform a surgery without any flaws. Because obviously technology may have its flaws, but it all boils down to human error.
Mhm.
If we eliminate that human error on the technology, at least we know that it was someone who was managed to develop this and managed to perform this successfully at a higher rate. I don't know if it's on your case for your children, but I know for sure I want them to encourage them to go through software for at least to have that background. Like in case they don't want to go, at least you know that you can actually like apply there and have a good future.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, with my kids, I definitely I've showed them they know what I do. I try to give them tools and toys and programs so they can learn how to code. And I tell them 100 times, I don't care if you don't code in the future. I don't care if that's not what you want to do for your life, or your career. That's totally fine. But like I said, the future, even today, I think the future is already here. That they should have better understandings. So. They should have better understanding of how technology works and how the software works, because the software is a black box for a lot of people, and unfortunately that's where you got to open it up. So that aside, I think that you need it. I think you do need a basic understanding of technology work. That aside, coding is fun. It helps you learn how to think. It helps you learn how to problem solve. It helps you learn how to critically think, and that's just a basic necessity of life. So if that's all you take from it, then that's a net win.
That's actually pretty good. Great way to saying that, man. So, and I agree. Like, I want my teach, even, just like you said, even if they don't want to, at least you have a basic understanding.
Yeah, and you learn how to think. That's. I want to get that out of it more.
Yes,
you learn how to think and problem solve.
Yes, I want them to be encouraging themselves to do something that they want to do. Like, I want them to think. I want them to like analyze. I want them to be curious of certain topics. I want them to be like, I want to go to school because I want to be this and I want to be this.
Yep, agreed. And then I'm telling you, if it's not here already, it's already like the field. At least the career is always like it's the new doctor, the new lawyer. It's like I want my son to be a doctor. I want my daughter to be a lawyer. I want my child to be a software engineer or whatever. It'll be there soon.
Yeah. I'm not going to try to enforce them, but I will definitely enforce them to like at least learn this. At least you learn this. And if you feel like it's a better path for you,
go for it.
Then you go for it because you already learned the basics. So now everything else should be easy for you to go, At least have that. And you said you couldn't have said it even better. The future is already here. It's on to the point like, back in the day, we had to go to McDonald's, for example, because that's the one I could give you a perfect example. McDonald's, we had to go inside the store and we had to talk to this cashier and order, and then they'll bring us our food. Now, in certain McDonald's locations, we don't have to talk to the cashier anymore. Now we can go to the store. There's a touch screen in front of you. You basically do your order, pay it, and then basically take the number, and then those persons from McDonald's will take the food for you.
Or even better, you do it on your phone and they take it to your house.
And that was the next step I was going to, like I was going to that part. It's like now you don't have to go. Now you can just order for your phone and that's it. And then pay the extra fees for whatever you have to. But that's where we're in.
That's what's here. Like I think the documentary mentions it. Like technology is very cool, very progressive, very helpful. They called that example out. Like you can get a car in 2 seconds in front of your house to take you wherever you want.
You can search for somebody that needs an organ. It saves lives.
Yeah, it's a lot of net positive for technology in general. Mm-hmm. But just like any piece of technology, it can be weaponized against us. So you gotta be careful.
I agree. One last thing. Where do you think we're heading on terms of technology? I know it's a very touchy and if it's very broad question.
It is all that. But even on top of that, I mean, just this year alone, freaking 2020 puts a pessimistic view on the future.
I mean, this was 2020. I have my high hopes that 2021 will be a whole lot better. But let's say that we face another 2020 down the road, which it's not impossible. It is possible. Maybe it's not next year. Maybe it's not following or so. Or maybe it's not 10 years for now. But we may face it again.
Yes, it's just right now. I'm a very pessimistic view on just, I guess, like these tech companies, man. I don't know. Maybe I've been burned by them so many times. I don't think it's a personal agenda or vendetta, but yeah, man, we gotta watch these tech companies. They keep telling us that they're gonna police themselves, and time again that hasn't happened. They're like, "Oops, sorry, we need more technology to fix this." Oh, but that messed up. Oh, but we need more technology to fix this. I'm like, that's never gonna work, man. They have no incentive to police themselves. They're gonna spin it. They're gonna PR it in any which way. I don't like regulation. I don't like it. In general. I know there's good regulation, but I tend to lean not as much. But when it comes to like dangerous weapons like this, we need society to come together on basic terms and principles and be like, these companies cannot do this, right? Because it's our society. We're in charge of it, the people. But if we don't head in that direction, it can be a very scary place where we won't have any governments anymore. We'll just have Facebook and Amazon running the world.
Jesus, and that's very much scary, especially like in today's world with the whole cancel culture happening. Like anything that you say or do can affect you in your future. Like it's ridiculous to the point. Like look how many times, and I do want to point out and thank you for all the times that you were on my ass and telling me, it's like, yo, gotta be careful what you write, yo. Why are you saying such things on Facebook? Anybody could see it. At that point, I didn't saw your point of view, but now later down the road, I can see why. And since then, I've been deleting and raising. Not that I have said anything negative or bad, like over the line, but I had to be much more vigilant and careful for what I post and what I say, because now anybody could get fired from your dream job, could get fired all because you decided to say something 20 years ago.
Yeah, and not even fired, just like blacklisted completely or denied altogether. And I think that's the dangers of like, we all do stupid shit when we're young.
Yeah. But we learn from it.
We learn from it. And like to be blasted across the country because of a stupid shit you did when you're 15, 20 years old. Now, if you're like 35 or 40 and you're
still doing it, then that's a different story. That's a different topic. That's like, all right, you deserve to be blacklisted. You deserve to be blacklisted because if anything, you didn't learn anything. And that's the case in sample of Roseanne. Everybody knew that Roseanne was kind of a racist person. And they still went on to make the reboot. And then when she tweeted it out, it's like you didn't learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. If you don't learn, that's different. But
and then it goes back to okay. And then you got that example of Roseanne, and then you got that example with Kevin Hart when he made that gay transphobic joke back in the day, 8 years ago, 10 years ago, about his son. Like if my son start doing gay stuff, then I'm a smacking or blah 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 blah. But that was a joke back in the day. It wasn't as sensitive. And even so, he did apologize. He did apologize about it. And yet, he still almost got blacklisted by the Oscars to say, like, all right, you need to apologize again. It's like, why should I apologize again? I already said I'm sorry. I learned from it. This is stuff that we do. This is stuff that we do stupid shit. Everybody has done this shit. You grow and learn. You grow and learn, and that's it.
Yeah, it's tricky. It's a delicate subject because you don't know the people. You hope they learn. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Maybe they're just doing a PR stunt to pretend they learned. I don't know. I do agree. Like sometimes we react too fast and we judge the situation too fast without all the intel, and it can end up in an ugly situation.
I agree. It's one of the things that I've said before. I'm very vocal about it, and this comes from Charlemagne the God from the Breakfast Club, and he says, and I repeat that. I just take that message, repeat it on, and relay it. Nobody cares about the truth when the lie is much more entertained.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, even though you said it and everybody thinks that you're homophobic, and when you come out and say, no, I'm not homophobic. I said a joke. Like any other joke, I will joke about this race and even my own race. And like, it's not homophobic. It's not really, I just made a joke. But even so, you still tell the truth. Nobody cares.
Yeah, they say the lie will travel around the world like 6 times before the truth puts on its shoes.
Yeah,
the lies spread faster.
Mm-hmm. and then everybody will believe more in the lie, and they'll stick with the lie rather than actually make the
And
facts.
and not even just that. I think that's a big problem with social media, right? When something
Yeah.
goes viral,
Yeah.
the lie, you repeat a lie enough, the misinformation will hide the truth regardless. Even if you don't know it, even if you know it's a lie, you don't know the truth. So it covers up everything. It's very, very delicate. And I think that's why I go back to teaching technology, because it helps you how to think and see through that crap.
Yeah.
At least you hope so.
Yeah, you will hope so. And again, that it's again, I love watching documentaries with my girl, and we watch another one. I'll get in case it's very like dramatic. I mean, not dramatic. It's like it's very sad how it all ended. I mean, I forgot it was the case of a certain wife that got killed by allegedly by the husband, California.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw it on Hulu.
I haven't seen it, but I heard about it.
Oh, you should watch it on Hulu. It's 6 episodes. I think it's very good. But I love the documentary itself, that it doesn't give you a one-sided like, oh my God, yeah, the husband was guilty. Like, no, it circles around all the information and the facts that happened and all this. And when you get to the end of the episode, at the end of the documentary, you get yourself doubt. You doubt yourself. It's like, I don't know if the husband actually did it.
That's the job of the documentary.
I mean,
right?
that's the job of the documentary. But when they present you certain things, it makes you think over it. It makes you think like, holy shit! Like,
see, the problem with documentaries in general, like, yeah, I agree, they're entertaining. Hopefully,
Yes.
they are.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you learn something. At the end of the day, it's somebody's vision that they're trying to put out into the world. Hopefully, as much as they told you, what didn't they tell you?
Yeah, I agree. Like I know most of these documentaries are one-sided, and I try to go to the ones that are like all open, both sides, because like I said before, like I want to learn what the Democrats are thinking. I want to learn what the Republicans are thinking. I want to see their point of views, because I want to understand why they think in such way. And that's why I'm trying to. I look at way on every my podcast or docs or anything. I try to look on everything that I see. I want to understand why this and why this, why you think, and and then I can actually make my own conclusion and see where I can actually fit into, and probably connect the dots into like, why are we having this discussion? Why are we having this problem? Why did this happen? And
Yeah, you hope so.
you hope so. I mean, I feel that's like a better understanding. You're trying to understand a human. Doesn't matter which side you are. You're trying to understand a human. And the way they portray it on this documentary series, it's just that, yeah, again, it goes back to social media. Like, everybody, as soon as the police arrested the husband, everybody puts him like, oh, he should burn in hell, like he should die, commit for the crimes and everything. And what sucks about it is that the jurors were already convicted him before hearing the evidence.
And generally, at least in theory, right? They don't choose those type of jurors.
No, they say
try not to.
They try not to, but it was said that it took them like months to actually select jurors and then have alternative jurors. And even so, when you see on the documentary, you talk every single juror, they had doubts because of the evidence were all circumstantial. It wasn't concrete. There wasn't enough proof of fact that he actually did it. And even so, the jurors already knew about it. And there were like 2 people that knew, was like, I don't think he did it. And the rest was like, yeah, he did it. But they were already like convicted him before, and that's actually causes a problem. And
yeah, for sure.
And it's
innocent to proven guilty.
And it was they said in the South that it's because I saw it in the news, I saw it in Facebook and whatnot, and it's like
yeah. And that's another negative for social media, right? Where these problems always existed.
Yeah,
they always existed, but social media can spread the lie 10 times as fast.
And if we're not careful, like, we can live more of a world of lie.
Yeah. If we don't agree on a basic understanding of truth and fact, everything's just going to collapse.
Yeah. Everything is going to be.
We're going to go back to lords and warlords and sex, because everybody's going to believe their own thing, and we won't be able to cooperate.
And I think that's the main issue that we're facing in today's world. We're not learning how to cooperate. We're not learning how to understand each other, and that's why the
compromise.
Yeah, they don't compromise. The nation itself is divided, and I'm just talking about based on the country that we both live in. it could be a different story on Canada. It could be a different story in Mexico. It could be a different story in Europe and in Asia. And like,
And from what I've seen, all these countries are facing similar problems. So it's not exclusive to us.
Right.
The US. It's just US is on a bigger stage.
But I guess what I'm trying to get to is like, it could be the circuit. Yeah, other countries may be similar to what we're facing, but this maybe some of them could be much more different approach than what we're doing. You know, I mean,
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
I agree.
I'm just right now talking, say like maybe there's other countries in the world that has a better understanding to humans, not letting the machine control you and tell you it's like, oh, because I went on social media and saw that this guy did this, like I hate this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's very easy to be swayed or influenced in one direction.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as us Americans, we're very heavily influenced by any of this. Like we buy this crap very quickly.
This is human nature. It's not exclusive to anything. It's just human nature. Is just like I said, entertaining. It's entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
Unfortunately,
it sucks, man. So, but we're gonna wrap this up, man. Our final thoughts. What are your final thoughts in all of this, man?
Oh man. How do you say that? Keep thinking, keep learning, stay curious, stay hungry. Just definitely enjoy life. Be you. The technology is a tool.
Remember,
it doesn't control you.
One last thing, a recommendation to what to do. What is your advice if you're gonna give it to somebody? What are the top 3 advice that you will give to someone when they approach to technology itself or social media? And how do you perceive it? Even though it could be a biased thing, I admit it. I'm very biased about social media. I'm very open about telling everybody like social media is the devil's work. Like I don't care. And I'm not that big religious. I just say it because it's like the easiest way to describe it.
Yeah, simplest analogy.
Yeah, but what are free advice that you will give to someone when they want to get into the technology itself, into teching or learning something passionate, and then how do you perceive with social media? How do you approach it?
Just social media right off the bat. I mean, I try to avoid it 99% of the time. If I am into it, it's only a subset of people that I'm interested in hearing from. Maybe it creates a bubble of sorts, but it's in a learning environment, right? It's very, very limited. It's just for me to learn. I want to get something out of it. I don't want to feed into a machine. Very, very time limited there. I mean, and in terms of technology and maybe software development, as I can speak to that, it's just always stay learning, always stay curious. It's a fast moving field, so you always got to be on top of it. That doesn't mean you have to spend 40 hours a week working and then another 40 to 60 hours a week on your own project to prove your worth. No, not at all. But just a little project just to stimulate the mind, stay curious, stay learning, always pushing yourself, right? You always want to be a better person. It's not just for your employer, it's for you, right? You want to grow, you want to be better. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, that's very good, man. Thank you very much. I mean, I know you said yourself you're very ahead of you don't like social media as much as I do. But if you have anything that people want to talk to you or hit you up for, for any tech advice or any other sorts, like do you have any social medias that they can hit you up?
Yeah, as I say all that, I do have a Twitter, right? I have a Twitter account, Radioactive. Again, it's very limited. That is definitely more focused towards game development. I follow a lot of game designers that I respect and admire. They're very smart, and I tend to put game stuff there. No, I really don't. I just like to follow.
Okay. That's very good, man. Thank you very much for doing this episode with me. And it's actually very eye-opening. It's one of those episodes that I want to talk to somebody outside of my realm and see the similarities and let people learn that, it goes all around. This, whatever you do here, it could also affect you there,
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. It was fun. Thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miguel, for coming in here. So, thank you very much for all my listeners. If you're listening to this, remember every week it's a brand new episode with a brand new topic. So be sure to like and subscribe to you get your weekly episodes at the Lone Wolv Podcast for SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. And of course, you can check my YouTube channel at lonewolfpod.com. That's lonewolfpod.com. All together. Okay. So comment down below. Let me hear your experience, share your experience. Let me hear your topics. Let me hear what you think about this. If there's a certain topic you want to talk about that you want me to cover in the next episode, if you have a question to Miguel, please feel free and let me know in the comments down below. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys at the next one.